Okay, hello everybody. Today I'm talking about a very exciting topic, the future of enterprise software and how it will change the way we work. So who of you guys in the room, when we talk about enterprise software things, we're talking about something really excited? So who gets really excited when you talk about enterprise software? Raise your hands. Don't be shy, come on, raise your hands, yeah. It's only a couple of people, and just to give you some background, I'm working as the lead for the DynaTrace Innovation Lab. DynaTrace, a software company that's also locally developing here in Austria with roughly 270 people. We also have a booth over there if you want to see what we do. And I've been working in enterprise software for over 10 years now. And I think enterprise software can be something very exciting. At the same time, I have to agree that enterprise software, in many cases, simply sucks. When most people think about enterprise software, they don't think about something they like, they don't think about something they really get excited about. They're rather, okay, enterprise software, I really have to use it. What most people think about when you talk about enterprise software is something like this. A very old-looking UI with a lot of input fields and stuff you put in there, and yeah, not really exciting to look at, not really modern, not really great, right? That's what most people think about when you talk about enterprise software. And you might now say, well, Alois, you're showing us some software here. This software is maybe super old, and that's nothing up to date, that's nothing new, that's nothing modern. You're trying to make a case here for your presentation. Actually, we have our friend Terry here. Terry did a review on that software, and look at the date. This was done in 2017. So Terry, poor Terry, has to use this software today. And how does Terry feel about using this enterprise software? So what is he saying? It has a lengthy learning curve. 180 man days to learn how to use that software. Just think about this, 180 man days. That's more than a month of full-time employee just learning how to use that software. What could be improved about the product? Well, it could look more like 2017 and less than 1990s. For those of you, and there are a lot of young crowds in here, if you remember the 90s, it wasn't really great on fashion, and it wasn't also really great on software. And our friend Terry here thinks pretty much the same. So more or less what he's saying, it looks like shit. Please change that. But now come to the interesting part. What was the main concern about buying this software? So why did you buy it? I was buying it because I thought it's so user-friendly, and they told us it's great and user-friendly, and it wasn't. It's like, yeah, totally disappointed in enterprise software, in the software he bought. And what's the consequence? What business problems are you solving? I mean, this is enterprise software, okay? It's not pretty. It's right from the 90s. You spend a month learning it. But at least if you solve a substantial business problem, it's worth the investment. Yeah? No pain, no gain. And look at Terry's reply. We aren't even using it. We just don't use it. We like it. It's not at all what we like to do. And then the final question, would you recommend it to a colleague that knows where you live and might be skilled in martial arts? 0 out of 10. So that's how Terry feels about enterprise software, and that's how a lot of people feel about enterprise software. So to sum it up, enterprise software in many cases really sucks because it doesn't look good, but even more than that, it doesn't feel good. You don't like to use it. And that's why a lot of enterprise software ends up being shelfware. So why is that the case? I mean, we're all software engineers. We know how to build great software. We have all these modern apps on our phones. Why does enterprise software still look like this? And a lot of this is really an attitude problem that a lot of developers and also product managers have when they look at enterprise software. They build stuff like this. Many of them then say, well, we don't have to make it look good. We don't have to make it look great. It doesn't have to feel great. People have to use it anyway. If you have customers, you need a CRM software. Even if it looks like coming straight from the 90s, you have to use that CRM software. But what Terry just told us, no, I don't have to use it. I'm rather going back to using Excel than your software. But as you can see, the attitude here for a lot of people is to have to use it, so who cares? Let's do it. And in some cases, when you talk to a developer to make stuff more user-friendly, that's what the reply that you get. They just have to read the manual. Guys like Terry don't want to read the manual. And also keep in mind that people spend a lot of time using enterprise software. So when you design for people who use software professionally, like our poor guy here who's already falling asleep in front of his workplace. Keep in mind when you design for people using enterprise software, they're using it more often than Facebook or Instagram or whatever your favorite app is. So you're taking a lot of time out of their lives using this software. Just to give you an idea, I found this online survey where they ask people how much time they spend on an average weekday. It's roughly 8.8 hours of work per day and 2.6 hours of leisure time, which, by the way, includes preparing dinner. So what does this mean? You spend about 3 times more time working than in your spare time with your boyfriend, with your wife, with your husband, with your girlfriend. I think you picked really carefully who you're spending your time in your leisure time, and that's only a third of that time compared to how much time you're spending with enterprise software. So we as developers should really think about that we build software that people really spend a lot of time with. So building enterprise software really means you're taking a third out of people's workday using your software. So it's not good enough that it just does the job, and it's not good enough that they have to use it anyways. So that's why we believe enterprise software should be fun to use. You should really enjoy using it. You should have fun using enterprise software. It should just feel like Facebook, which you open up in a break just because you want to, because you like it. What this, however, means is that we have to change the total attitude towards how we build software. It means you have to design for the experience of the user and not for the feature. It's not how great your code is, it's how great it feels for a user to use that software, how it feels to use it, whether they like it. It looks good, it's just easy to use, it comes to you natural from the workflow, you don't have to go back to a manual. I remember back in my very young times, people were happy if they had the printed out manual of MS-DOS and were showing it around to their friends because they have read it. If you think about it from a 2017 attitude, seriously, a manual with over 1,000 pages for an operating system that can't do anything for me except run other programs that eventually can do stuff for me? Are you kidding me? So the idea is really to design for the experience and not the feature. Don't think you're done when it's about the feature. Really invest in what the experience looks like. And this is an example of DynaTrace as part of our product. And the title says that this could have been 10 charts. So that's what a monitoring software usually would do. This talks about the amount of users, response times, bounce rate, a lot of things that you see in your software. And obviously, I could have put everything in a chart. That would be the most natural and obvious thing to do. It's a metric, you put it into a chart. It's a lot of metrics, you put them into a lot of charts. People have to do it for work. They can have the time looking at it. And then you might actually train them and tell them how to use it. What you can see here, even with not knowing what this is about, there's this little goal sign at the back. Well, we're talking about conversion here. So why not use infographics? Why not use something that's actually looking good? Or looking at the bounce rate piece, which we have here, which is just this little piece breaking off. Our users here, exit actions, the guy leaving the building here on the emergency exit. So the idea behind it, what we have a lot behind building software is build it the way that people like to look at it. It's easy to understand. And it's really just this investment that you have to put into design and not just building the obvious things. Beyond that, enterprise software used to be a lot about you help people do the work. This is not 2017, so we have to move. It's not that somebody sits in front of that screen, gets all that information presented, and then has to do the work themselves. It's really about moving to a let me do the work for you attitude. It's software that should support you in your work, that should take some work off your shoulders rather than just more or less telling you what to do. That's a to-do list. That's not a software that's supporting you in getting the job done. And this is, again, an example of what we are using. So for those who don't know, DynaTrace is building performance software. This is analyzing a production problem. And obviously, again, could have presented you a lot of charts here, what to do. But what it does here, on the top piece, on the right hand, you see something that's called root cause. So the idea is I don't tell you everything that's broken in the system. I don't tell you exactly what part of the software caused that issue. And I can tell you how to fix it. I can even replay what that problem looked like, how my individual system components failed. So instead of just giving all the metrics to you and relying on you as the user to figure out what's going on, software is actually telling you how to do it. And how did we achieve this? We used a lot of machine learning, AI technologies, made the software smarter so that you get some of the job done, the repetitive pieces of the job done. Also the pieces of the work that are not really fun, that are hard to do, and that, to be quite fair, machines are better doing. If you look at the top here, unfortunately the projector is not that good, but in these examples it's about looking at 50, 60, 70, in some cases even millions of metrics. That's not fun work to do, that's hard work to do, and machines can do it better. So the idea is to make it simple and easy for people to grasp and understand. But, okay, there's a, yeah. I strongly believe that this is a major shift that's happening in enterprise software, and that will really become a disruption to this industry. And I think by 2020, there won't be successful and fast-growing enterprise software companies around that don't use AI to make people's life easier. It's not about building these old-school front-end interfaces on top of data and letting people figure out how to do the work. It's really about enterprise software and making enterprise software, helping them to do their work, become an assistant and supporting them. A great example, so that you can say, I'm just showing you examples of DynaTrace. This is X.AI. This is like the sliced bread of get me a meeting with somebody. What X.AI is a virtual assistant that does something that's super hard to do. Assume you have to set up a meeting with 10 people that are not in your company. That's an NP hard problem to solve it. They created a virtual assistant they call Amy, and what Amy does, Amy just does the job for you. You just tell Amy, like in this case, I need a 30-minute meeting with these guys, and then Amy takes care of that conversation for you. That's great. That's the kind of enterprise software that I want to use. And my only interface here, I have to learn nothing. I'm just sending an email to Amy. That's all I have to do. The problem, however, is when you look at enterprise software compared to other pieces of software, it's very easy to build the first version of enterprise software to be really cool, to be really nice, and to be really easy to use. But you have to solve hard problems and complex workflows for people, which means you have to add more and more functionality. You have to have more and more branches in what you have to support, what people like. You're getting more customers, you're getting more and more requirements. So what usually happens, you reach what I refer to as the coolness inflection point. In the beginning, it's really cool. You might start with a single button with this very simple interface, but then you start working with your customer, and then they have that use case, and then another use case, and one customer can do it that way. And you're trying, obviously, to bring all this new functionality into software. You make it adjustable to people's needs. What this actually means, you make it more complicated. You make it harder to use. Suddenly, you have to configure stuff. Suddenly, you have to change stuff. Suddenly, you have to learn workflows in the UI, where it just used to be a single web page is suddenly a 5-step process, because there's so many options that you build in the very best interest because you wanted to support all of your customers, right? That's what you wanted to do. And now suddenly the product is not cool anymore, and you have disappointed people like Terry who tell you, well, I don't want to use that anymore. How can we solve this? The first solution we already discussed, you can use AI technologies and a lot of machine learning to make it smarter, easier, and better to use. And the other thing is, we're now at a phase where we have to stop thinking we only can use a mouse and a keyboard and a regular computer screen to work with software. The reason why a lot of workflows are complicated is because we see ourselves and our design mentality bound to this screen and to the type of interactions we could have had the last 25 years or longer. Saying, okay, people have to enter something on the screen, I have to click somewhere with the mouse. And I actually had exactly that discussion just 2 days ago with one of our designers in the user test, where she asked me how to use our own software. And she said, okay, how do we want to click through the product? I told her I don't want to click at all. I just want it right on the top search bar. She said, oh, that's actually way more convenient, yes. Because I don't know where it is anymore, and I'm not using the product that frequently anymore. Eventually, I think we really have to start making software part of the team. We don't have to think of software, something that resides on a laptop somewhere in one corner, or people sitting next to an office. You have to bring the software to where the people are and support them on using it and help them in their everyday life. Like a typical use case for us at DynaTrace, for example, is a stand-up meeting. So we're building monitoring software. So in the morning, I think I don't have to tell you guys what a stand-up meeting is. So they meet in the morning, and you have monitoring software. So what use is it to have a laptop here and look at your monitoring software, work through all the data, and maybe come into the office half an hour early to prioritize everything, look at it, the same you might do with your issues in the morning, just to get ready for that meeting. What you really want to do is you want to just get your questions answered, like, is there anything important for my team? Were there any critical issues since yesterday that I have to focus on today? Or out of all the issues that we are working on, which is the most important one? So the idea is really, instead of thinking how to design the software, think what your customers, what your users. By the way, I recently heard a funny quote: the only two professions that call their customers users are software developers and drug dealers. There is some funny truth to that. I just leave it with you for a discussion maybe after this talk. So back to the topic. Yeah, you know the questions of your users, of your customers. Why don't just answer them? And today we have so many great means to do this, and we have recent technology advances that really help us to do this. And what I'd like to show you today is just an idea of what we decided to do. And by the way, this is the part of my demo where the crew told me it's not going to work if I do it with my phone next to my microphone here. We tried to plug it in here last minute, so just bear with me and hope that everything works fine. So the idea is, I'm now in a meeting. Alexa, launch Davis.
How can I be of service?
Can you hear this? Open DynaTrace.
I'm Davis, your personal DevOps
Yes, I know.
assistant. You can ask me about problems, user activity levels, and much more. Try asking one of these questions. What happened since the last time we talked? Show me in my browser. What were user activity levels like yesterday? Is anything down? What were the top root causes in the last 24 hours? For a more complete listing of my capabilities,
Open
consult my
DynaTrace.
documentation on the GitHub wiki page.
It keeps, yeah.
Is there anything else you need?
Open DynaTrace.
Unfortunately, it appears that you don't have the voice navigator.
Which is actually right. I don't have it because for some reason my internet is down. So she's right with that one.
GitHub wiki on enabling the voice navigator. What else can I do for you?
But I could ask her something else. Alexa, launch Davis.
What's up?
What happened since yesterday morning?
Between yesterday at 4 a.m. and today at 5:19 p.m. there were 43 problems that affected 5 applications and 27 services. EasyTravel.com was the most heavily affected application with 30 problems. There was an unusually strong concentration of problems around yesterday at 6:30 a.m. Would you like to hear a ranked listing of issues?
Yes.
First, there was a WebCheck global outage on EasyTravel demo booking. Second, there was a WebCheck global outage on EasyTravel demo booking. Finally, there was a mobile app crash rate increased on EasyTravel demo.
So usually it would also control my screen here, but unfortunately the Wi-Fi is down. See, really nice. And I also realized in the beginning also it was funny that you didn't understand me immediately. It was still the idea here that software can become proactive, because if you're not the user, David would have immediately told me what I could actually do with him. Ask me about how our users are doing. Ask me about the application. Ask me about any problems since you asked me the last time. So a very proactive and direct approach here. So this doesn't mean that everybody now has to use voice interfaces. I just wanted to show you one approach or one idea of how you can really start to think beyond traditional user interfaces and traditional ways how to work with software to make workflows that otherwise would be complex much easier. Because in this case, if I tell you you can use Davis to ask how the service you're working on is doing today or what the problems are, you could immediately use it. I don't have to give you a manual. I don't even have to teach you the UI, because if you have Wi-Fi, which you most likely have because you're a smart guy, would automatically open up the proper screen in your browser as well. So the idea is, if you have complex workflows, really think beyond traditional interfaces like a screen and a keyboard. So to summarize, I think, yes, it's true that software is not only eating the world, but software is really powering our lives. But we as developers should really be careful to design experiences, even for people who have to use software for work, in a way that they should not become people's work by them having spent lots and lots of useless hours that they're not enjoying with the software. Because as you can see with our friend here again, he's actually now thinking about spending more time in the office. He wants to go home and ride his bike. Any questions? Otherwise, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Alois. I have one question from Niklas. But maybe can we have a microphone and Niklas formulate that question directly? I'm not really sure. Niklas? Where's Niklas? You and Niklas? Can you pick up a microphone?
By the way, the Wi-Fi is back now. So.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is a problem here. You did the risky thing, actually. Yeah. The internet here is really a pain.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. The question was, I'm part of a software development team that is using and developing enterprise software for a very specific branch. And we've got a very old database that runs since 1990 or even a little bit older. So even longer than I live now. And how do we implement the techniques that you talked about, like voice controlling the software and making the user interface easier to use when you're holding back within a very old database? What would be your target to go on first?
Yeah, just to repeat the question quickly, what do you use if you can't really re-architect or rebuild your platform, but you have to live with an old enterprise tech, maybe one that's older than yourself? So in the talk before, there was one thing, build APIs around what you do. Interestingly, we at DynaTrace had the same problem as well. The software wasn't older than, well, we ourselves was, but we also had 10-year-old software and we had new technologies coming along. So what we decided to do to have between our server-side components a clear API so we could build a new web-based front end. So we were starting also from a rich client interface and building a new front end on top that was web-based. And then you focus on also which functionalities do you focus on, because you can re-implement your entire software. That's the second point there. Usually pick the software that you just recently learned about the new use cases, because most likely your software is not that good supporting the most recent use cases that your customer have been coming up over the last couple of years. You're most likely very good with the use cases that you have been working on for the last 20 years. But really separating the server and client side is really helpful. And by the way, also if you have a clear API, it would even allow you to do something like the voice control pieces that I've shown you here before. So also it looks like a bit of magic when it's working. It's just using our standard product APIs in the background. And then you can start building in more smarter things like AI machine learning components in step 2 or 3. But once you have a clear boundary, start with some piece of your software, move them to a more modern, newer interface, especially the new requirements that you see people coming in or that they're most unhappy with.
Thank you.
Does somebody have another question? Here, can we have the microphone here, please?
Dashboard and as well the voice.
Can you repeat the question? Start from the beginning.
I can imagine that all the software or all the enterprise software is slowing down your pace, developing something like this, what you showed us, like the dashboard and as well Alexa telling you what happened and so on. So, I'm interested in, or I'm wondering, how long does it take for you to bring your customers up to speed to make things like this happen? You know?
Yeah, so there's two types of, the question was, doesn't what we have already with enterprise software available slow you down in introducing something innovative, modern, because they might be used to it? So there's a twofold answer to this. You have customers that might have been using your software, like in this case, since the early 90s, and they might be super helpful with what they've been doing since the 90s because they're super used to it. We have even seen some people, not for our software, but for other software they're using, but they were joking, they're using testing tools to automate what they enter into the software. Those customers are happy, so don't really care about those customers. Well, do care about them, but they're happy anyways. And then, again, the same advice as I gave before, then focus on those use cases that your customers are really unhappy about, or the new audiences that you have to deal with that are really unhappy about it. So we at the DynaTrace did the shift in the very beginning, working a lot for developers that were used to using rich IDEs and that are even using rich IDEs today. Then we moved a lot into the operation space where people were way more used to using web-based interfaces for dashboards and so forth. So we focused on the second piece, build a clear API just for those pieces, leaving the other pieces aside. So some of our product even today still has a rich client interface, and that's fine. And then start re-implementing those. And also for the other pieces of your traditional software, just because you keep a traditional software stack, there's nothing holding you back reskinning your software to just look like not coming from the 90s. Even that user interface over there, go to a design school or go to any designer on the web and ask them to make this pretty, and you will be amazed by how great this interface suddenly starts to look. They give it a nice new color, it's not gray anymore, some shaded input boxes, making it a bit smarter, and maybe along that implementation you realize also that there are common workflows and stuff that's in there you might not need anymore, or you might have some hints to enter things easier. We did, for example, one of the major moves that we made for our enterprise, for the rich client pieces of our software, we skinned it the same way than the modern web interface, while leaving a lot of functionality as it used to be. But suddenly it looks more modern, and people say, this is great, this looks so amazing, this looks totally new. It's just if you have your car, you're going through the mud for a week or so, you're going to Burning Man, and then you get it entirely cleaned. And suddenly it looks like new again, and people are happy as well. So just making it look better can also help a lot there.
Alois, thank you very much for this great talk. You're giving me hope with enterprise software. I'm in that space as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.